Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Welcome to the Dukes of Gaming podcast, where we burn our coffee and talk about video games.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dukes of Gaming podcast. You already know it's your host, Thomas, the Duke of Procrastination. It's good to be here this week, and it's good to have my fellow Dukes with me this week. Introducing first, we have the Duke of Rocket League. What's going on, Cole? How are you this week?
I'm great. Waiting to add another baby to the family. Then a little update. She was due yesterday, not here yet. Maybe she'll come this weekend. We'll see. If not, we'll have her on Tuesday. Rocket League, I am Diamond 3, and I'm about 4 wins away from champion. But those 4 wins could take me, they have to be in a row with no losses. That could take me 6 months to a year. Like, that's how crazy it gets at this level.
We believe in you.
We believe
I
you.
digress.
Win streak. That's all you need. Just a win streak. All right, we're praying for you for that one. But also, we had the Duke of Nostalgia. What's going on, Taylor? How are you this week?
Doing great. Just got out of the pool. So I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And then, of course, we have the Duke of Education. What's going on, Alfredo? How has your week been?
It's been pretty good, actually, dealing with some doggy stuff, but I did get a bunch of games from Gamefly's pre-owned big sale, so my backlog got even bigger. Blessing and a curse.
Well, why don't you tell us about it? Have you been playing any of these games? What have you been playing this week?
I have, but unfortunately, I needed to take a look at my year's a year ago backlog that I started and never finished. I dedicated to myself to being able to finish the entire Final Fantasy series, as in play every single mainline game. So there's a couple I haven't finished or even started. For example, I haven't done I never played Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 8 I never finished, Final Fantasy 10. There's a bunch of them, but I have had Final Fantasy 10 for a while, and I decided to bite the bullet after finishing some other games in my backlog, and I'm going to say 16 or 17 hours into this game. And is anyone a Final Fantasy X fan here? Cole, I think you are, right?
Yes, one of my favorite games of all time.
Why? Why? Because let me just, I'm not going to pull any punches. This game is bad, guys. This is not a good game.
Oh, goodness.
This is such a step down from the...
We're going hard in the introduction. We're going hard into this. Dude,
I mean,
it's unbelievable. I did play it when I was 15 or 16 when it came out. So, I mean, there's that. But, so who knows? I mean, we all had favorite movies when we were young, and they're terrible.
True.
But, I haven't played it much since then. I think the story's incredible. I love the story.
Really do tell.
I love Titus.
What specifically do you like about?
Okay, so I'm a hopeless romantic.
Boy?
So I love romantic stories in video games. I like Squall and Renoa was my favorite. God, it's just unbelievable. I thought it was unbelievable. God. I loved it, but I think I was young, so I don't know. I love it, and I think the game's incredible. Like the vistas and stuff, and the scenery it's awesome. Blitzball's fun. I don't know. This is the loved Final Fantasy. I'm very surprised you don't like this.
I'm sorry, Cole. I gotta stop. You said a whole bunch of just factually incorrect things. Blitzball is terrible.
Oh my god! And the soundtrack is the best Final Fantasy soundtrack out there. There's nothing else touches that.
Very good soundtrack.
Soundtrack's pretty good.
I don't think anything else in Final Fantasy worlds touch FFX. Oh god, the Two Xanarkin theme on the piano literally makes me want to cry. As a 36-year-old man, I want to bawl when I hear that. It's unbelievable.
Let me just tell you why I'm having trouble with this game. So, like I said, Final Fantasy IX is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Obviously, I rave about it all the time. I did look at that game through rose-tinted glasses, but I played it within the last year, and it definitely holds up. The battle system is great. The abilities are great. Just everything about it. Story, perfection. Now, Final Fantasy X, I was expecting, bigger things, since this is the, first Final Fantasy for the PS2. So I was expecting, you can't mess up the formula that 9 has set. You just got to build on top of it. But for some reason, they made some really peculiar choices. Yeah. The first one being they completely revamped the level up system. So instead of, a classic level up system where, you automatically gain abilities at level blah blah, level 6, level 7, whatever, it automatically gives you, stat bonuses. It basically gives you points that you can use after you quote unquote level up, and it introduces the battle grid.
The sphere grid. The sphere grid.
Yeah, the sphere grid. That's like I believe it's also in Final Fantasy 12, kind of. But it's basically a system where you don't automatically learn new spells like fire or water or thunder god. You have to make your way through the grid in order to learn them, and you only have as many points as you have leveled up. So the water spell might be like 10 different nodes down the pipeline.
But that was the thing, is you have to build your characters out like that direction. There's no going back, really.
You do, yeah, and it also punishes you because you can only you can backtrack, but it will cost you one of your level up points. So it kind of punishes you from going back, and it expects you to look ahead and say, okay, this is the path that I want this character to go on. So it threw me a little bit for a loop, because right then it's making me it's forcing you to build out your character and learn these spells that traditionally you would automatically gain through, a spell book or through a new staff. Like it's forcing you to make these ability improvements by yourself. So most of the time it's really annoying for me to go back and, okay, I'm not going to spend my one level up point every 5 seconds. So I'm just going to build up 10 of them and just spend them all at once, which is really bad because through the battles, you're not leveling up, so it's not getting any easier the farther that you go because you're not spending your points. So it's kind of repetitive in that nature. So that's one critique I have of it. Second critique is actually the story. I can't really say too much of the story without spoiling it, but
I think you get it. It's old enough you can spoil if you want.
Well, it's getting better, but I think the problem I'm having with this story is that the main character is just so incredible. Well, every character really, they're just very unlikable. Titus specifically, because he just does not ask the most basic of questions. This man literally gets thrown into another dimension. It seems like he doesn't know. It's like a completely different time, and he just shows up in this world and acts like everything is normal. He doesn't know what happened to his town, but he'll just become somebody's protector for the heck of it. He doesn't ask them what their mission is. He doesn't care. He's just going with the flow. Same with every single one of your party members. Like they have absolutely no logic for why they are doing it, or they don't seem to reveal it until like it's revealed like 10 hours later in the story. For example, Titus literally was traveling with these people for like, I want to say 5 hours until it just came up of what happened to his hometown that he was from, that he was like transported to. And then he was like, oh, that's what happened. Like he just never thought to ask. Anyway, I digress.
You can tell Alfredo's been holding this in all week, ready to go off on Final Fantasy.
Well,
in his introduction, just tearing into it. Hey, I will say this though. Look, the Metacritic score 92 FFX, and the user score is 8.9. So everybody's on my side of the fence on this one. I think.
Hey, I can see at its time. I can see, the hooks that it's just we've got so far of where we are now in JRPGs, where these things like these anime tropes would not fly in today's world. Although, I mean, obviously there are anime tropes now in today's games, but I expect certain level of, accessibility, certain level of storyline to be met for a Final Fantasy game. And I think the way I'm so critical of this one is because it's right after the best Final Fantasy 9. So like they got everything right and they had every reason to succeed, and they just it just isn't living up to the hype. But before I start rambling, let me just say one more thing about this game. The last thing I have is for the battle system specifically. I will give them credit. They do some really interesting things with the battle system as far as actual boss battles go, because in Final Fantasy X, they don't just do, here's the bad guy, fight them, use all the spells. They basically do it where here's the bad guy, there's some alternate mechanic that you can use to defeat the bad guy. For example, they'll have like a crane that if you hit with thunder a couple of different times, then you can actually use that crane in battle to deal like massive damage. They do some pretty cool stuff with that in a lot of the different battles. But by and far, this game actually forces you to use the characters that you do not want to use. Because in the regular battles, what they'll do is they'll give you 3 different enemies, and each different enemy, just a regular randomized battle, is only available to be hurt by a specific character. So there might be a flying creature, and that creature, for example, none of the sword people can hit it, none of the magic people can hit it, because they're resistant specifically to magic, and the sword people can't just reach with a sword. So you have to use the blitzball guy so that he can hit this flying monster with his volleyball, also stupid, as his battle weapon. They do things like that. So they set up that, and then this one can only be hit by the person who has like a lance because it has the piercing property. But each party member only has like one specific quality to them, like piercing. One character has the piercing property. One character has the ranged ball attack. So, and you can actually switch between these characters while you are in battle at any time. At any time that you use them. So I'm conflicted because I want to like this game, and I'm 17 hours in, and I'm going to get through this game, but I feel like I'm just fighting what the game is actually giving me, because I want to just say, oh, I finished Final Fantasy X and I didn't like it, but I got through it. End of rant.
I have a question for Cole. How long has it been since you played it last?
20 years.
20 years. So RPGs are a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I lean on the side of Alfredo, because when I played it, I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. I'm not as sour on it as Alfredo is.
I'm sour.
But if I rank it with my Final Fantasy, like in terms of the franchise, of the ones I've played, it's definitely towards the bottom.
Okay, so here I got to preface with this. First, you got to think I was 16 at the time, or 15, 2001. I played it one and done on release year. I haven't played it since. And also, this was my first Final Fantasy. So I feel like there's something to be said about your first Final Fantasy is always going to be, because the games are quality. Like, it's a Final Fantasy game. If you've never played a Final Fantasy game and you start with 12, it's probably going to be incredible. I mean, I feel like, maybe not, but it was my first one. So it introduced me to everything. Then I played 8 and 7 and 9 and, you know, went on from there. But I still think this is regarded as a classic JRPG. I mean, 92 Metacritic, and people they look back at it more fondly than when it was. I don't know. I mean, I still think it's.
You're right.
It's gold.
They do look back at it like it's, you know, the Holy Grail kind of, but. But I don't think
I don't think it's in the same sense as Ocarina of Time. You know, you play Ocarina of Time, it's not any good now. But people look back on it with this fondness, like for the first time they played it. But Final Fantasy X, I feel like holds up. Maybe, I guess you guys are telling me no, and obviously I can't really speak to that because I haven't played it in 20 years. But Taylor, I imagine you've played it recently. What do you think? I feel like you're older. You've never played it?
No, I don't. My brain doesn't like Final Fantasy.
Really?
No.
I would have pegged you for a Final Fantasy player.
No.
I will say, Cole, do you play the modern turn-based games? Like,
no, I don't play any. Like, I've quit. I haven't played turn-based RPG since Final Fantasy 15.
Wow. And 15 is not turn-based.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I know that's the closest thing. So then imagine before that would be like, I don't know. I haven't played anything since 9, probably Final Fantasy 9.
When I sit there, when I was playing it, I was comparing it to something like Persona and just seeing how far turn-based RPGs have come.
Well, what about if you compare it to 7 though?
To have Final Fantasy X exist for us to get the evolution of the turn-based genre. So it's important from that standpoint. I feel like you can say it's with Ocarina of Time in a certain aspect of this franchise. Like that's one of the pivotal games in the franchise.
What about if you compare it to Dragon Quest 11? I know you played that one a lot. To me, those are very similar RPG systems, like battle systems. Dragon Quest 11 is like a throwback, though, kind of, right?
11 is one of my favorite.
I know that's why I'm calling you out on that.
It's how simple it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Just from a storytelling standpoint, it's not even like close.
But if you compare the battle systems, it's simple, classic kind of JRPG, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10 style, right?
Yeah, it's more simple like that.
Like slow
There's
pace.
no like what Alfredo is describing with the you have to use a certain character. That is something from older JRPGs that has kind of not been a thing anymore. Now, sometimes stuff like that would work. For example, I can give you a perfect example with Final Fantasy 7. Either 6 or 7, I forgot which one. But you're fighting a squid monster. Now, the squid monster, if he hits you, you're on a boat, he's in the ocean. If he hits you, it's basically a one-hit kill. There's only one solution to solve. It's almost like a puzzle in the turn base. You have to move everybody from the front to the back row.
Yeah, I mean, and things like that would be fun.
Cool system that JRPGs like use, like where it's like they kind of play with the party system, play with stuff like that. Modern JRPGs don't do that as much, and I think it's for the better.
I mean, it would be fine if even 10 were doing that from time to time, because it's like they would switch up the boss battles and just the mechanics in general. But the problem with this game in particular is that it's doing it for every single battle. Like it's straight up forcing you to do it for these random ones, even, for when people want to grind. Like you can't really do that because you have to use these specific characters, even though you might not like them personally. You can't really use the characters that you want to use, the characters that you actually like. I have to use Volleyball Guy because he's the only one who can hit this person.
He has a name, Alfredo.
Waka. Come on now.
Okay.
Look.
He hits people with a ball. This is stupid, okay? It's stupid.
Oh, it's heavy, though.
It's just so cozy, though. It's like,
okay,
man.
but you're just hitting someone with a ball. Like, come on. And
it's more like one of those workout balls, like the ones, I forgot they're called, but the ones you see at the gym, like that would hurt. That would kind of hurt.
But it's the same effect as like me Titus slashing somebody with a sword. Like this man is hitting people harder with the ball than Titus. Like his attack is higher.
He's strong, man.
Y'all, the only turn-based RPG I played before Final Fantasy X was Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Swords or whatever.
That's a good one.
It's unbelievable. It's great. But Final Fantasy blew me away though, like with the graphics and everything. Back then, those graphics were unbelievable. Everywhere you went, the summons and all. Oh my God. The CG cutscenes. Like I remember playing that thinking when the CG came up, we would sit the PlayStation controller down and just watch it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even today, because I'm playing on my Switch now, and it's a remastered, so they might have updated a little bit. But the cutscenes are really, really good to the point where I'm like, wow, this looks like real good. So I can only imagine on the PS2 what it's like. But they also do this weird thing where they mix I don't know what it's called, like the cinematic ones. What are those called? The FMVs?
FMVs, yeah.
Yeah, where they're literally mixing the FMVs with cutscenes. So like you might get like a real gameplay cutscene for 2 seconds, and then it'll just hard cut to the FMV, and then it'll be another like 5 seconds of the regular, and it'll go back and forth. So not really sure about that, but the cutscenes look good.
Have any of you seen that butt fighting anime?
No.
What?
No.
Like,
please explain.
I think it's called Keijo.
But fighting?
It's about girls who fight online with their butts.
Have
and
not seen this.
The reason I bring this up is because Alfredo, you were talking about Volleyball Man, Waka, and the reason I don't like Final Fantasy is because all the games kind of read like that to me. They are too anime for me because they do latch onto those tropes, and some of those tropes are absolute nonsense.
They're anime.
They're anime. I like my RPGs to have some cute story gimmick for why all these things are doing this. I like Earthbound. Obviously, I love Earthbound because they've got the cute suburban superpower gimmicks. They've got I love Secrets of Mana because it's kind of really quaint fantasy, and I like obviously Undertale because it's got this weird like love beats hate sort of thing going on. I can't get into Final Fantasy RPG stuff because it all reads like nonsense butt fighting anime.
Kind of is. It kind of
is.
There are I would say Final Fantasy for a lot of the stories is bad anime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it's still anime, and the battle system is good, so I forgive a lot of it. Like I love
some of them.
I love Final Fantasy VII. It's not the greatest story in the world.
But was that the first one you played?
No.
What was the first one you played?
First one I played, I believe, was actually 13.
Oh,
how'd you like 13?
I didn't like it, but I saw what this is, and I was like, okay, I think I can like if this is considered a bad Final Fantasy game, like I feel like a bad Final Fantasy game I consider style over substance.
Sure.
And I consider a good Final Fantasy game mostly substance, but mostly style, but a good amount of substance as well.
We could almost cut all this into and just post it as a Final Fantasy thing and restart the podcast.
Yeah, I completely derailed this. Sorry.
But no, I mean we can keep going though.
We're gonna cut this out for sure. But yeah, we can keep going. This could be a whole conversation, and we might have to plan to do a whole conversation about.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
We might have to do a whole because
the only thing is Taylor doesn't have maybe it was 1 week when Taylor's gone. We'll do it with Ben when that'll be a topic.
Yeah,
I like picking topics when with the guests that we have on. You know what I mean? Or not the guests, the Dukes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Final Fantasy is something that has a wide range of opinions. And
it does.
We voiced a lot of them just now.
Yeah, we did. It is amazing.
Is there anything else you've been playing, Alfredo?
I have, but we've both been playing a certain game, so I'll let you take that away a little later.
I will go then. I'll just go and we'll just lead into it then. So we've both been playing Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is a console exclusive for the PlayStation 5, and it's also on PC. Now, it's developed by Ember Labs, which is a first-time developer, but just looking at this game, there's no way that the people on that team don't have a lot of experience making video games.
Was it made by 3 people, or is that a rumor that I saw?
Much more than 3, but not a ton.
Where did I see that out?
I think it's 12.
That's still amazing.
Yeah, I think this game is, and look, I was going into it. We had previous podcasts in the past where I was kind of like doubtful. I've played, I believe, maybe the equivalent of like 40% of this game. I think this game is really great so far. I think it's a highlight of the year. I think it's the best Zelda game you can possibly get on your PlayStation 5.
Really?
And not like a Breath of the Wild Zelda. More so something like an Ocarina of Time.
Man, that sounds incredible. Is it open world or no?
Kind
of. World?
Kinda. It's like open world, like God of War is open world.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah. Well, it's actually a little bit more open world than that, especially later in the game, because it actually does open up to where you can kind of warp anywhere.
Where is like after you do everything, after you unlock all the realms, and it becomes basically an open world.
Right.
I keep getting the name wrong because it's spelled Kena.
Kena. Is Kana Bridge
Before Alfredo gives his thoughts, I just want to chime in and say we were giving Alfredo a hard time on this game because we did not think it was going to live up. And, you know, this initially was my most hyped game until it started becoming kind of weird. Their press tour or whatever you call it was kind of strange because I feel like we didn't see much of it. And it just led us to believe that this game wasn't going to live up to what we initially thought it was going to be. So I was really hyped. Then I get not very hyped. My hype goes down. I think it's going to be a complete flop and just like a Metacritic 60. And when we gave Alfredo a hard time about it, now it's come back around and it's supposedly a great game. So
yeah, Alfredo, what are your thoughts
what
on
do you
this?
think?
I just want to say to all the haters, all y'all can suck it. No, I'm just kidding. I was scared too, honestly. I was scared because like the day before it released, I think the week of it released, I thought it was releasing like on a Thursday, but I checked and it was like, oh, it's releasing tomorrow. Let's check out some reviews. And there were no reviews for it because apparently they had people had gotten it late was the story, but usually that indicates that, you know, the game is going to be very good when the developers set an embargo for reviews so close to the actual release, let alone the actual release date. You think it, you know, isn't going to review very well. Right. But in this case, it got a pretty good. I think you said it's in the 80s, right? As far as a Metacritic goes, Cole, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it now. It's an 81.
Okay, cool. So it's about an 81. Score. Ooh, okay, 88. We'll take it. So yeah, so this game is supposed to be good. So I downloaded it, played it on my PS5. I really, really like this game. I really love this game, actually. I have real credits on it. But it was actually something I was completely not expecting what it was going to be. I thought that this game was going to be, I guess, less Zelda-like, or I was expecting something different in terms of game mechanics, in terms of story. I was expecting this grandiose, epic story akin to, I don't know, maybe something like Horizon Zero Dawn. And what I actually got was something more akin in gameplay to Dark Souls, something more akin to I don't know what to compare to with story-wise, but story-wise, this game is actually like split into 3 distinct different stories, where you're basically trying to solve different problems and there's an overarching story to it. But at the same time, you don't really get any insight as to who Kana is herself, what exactly is her origins or anything. You're kind of like dropped right in the middle of her journey and what she's doing. You don't really get any backstory into who she is as a person, any heavy backstory. The backstory that I wanted, actually. But you get some really, really nice, I thought they were really, really nice, like these short stories. And I think it was actually served the game really well in how it divided up its gameplay. Now, as far as like the actual gameplay, I think that's what actually set the game to like, I love this game, because the game is kind of like Dark Souls, as I mentioned. And I like Dark Souls games, and I wasn't expecting that, because this game is really, really hard, actually. So there's different modes to this game. I played on hard mode because I always think that games are usually too easy. In this case, this game is actually really hard. Like you actually
beat it on hard mode?
Yeah, I beat it on hard mode. And let me tell you, this final boss, they made me work for this like completion. This game is incredible in that it has so many varied enemy types and boss types specifically, to the point where you're always doing something new. It's very strategic in how you have to think about these fights, the way that they set them up, because in the early game they set up the bosses fight as regular. Oh, this is the boss fight, these are the weak points. They're teaching you how to defeat a specific type of enemy by setting it up as a boss. And then in later encounters, they'll just throw these quote unquote bosses that you've seen earlier and you've beat as regular enemies, in addition to like all the other enemies that you fought before. So it does a really, really great job at teaching you how to use specific abilities in order to combat those different varied enemy types, and it's actually really, really rewarding. I can't tell you guys like the amount of times I finished a boss fight where it was like so close, where I was like 1 HP and I just needed one more hit, and I just drew out my bow and hit the guy at the last second to get like the final kill. And like I don't know, I just really enjoyed the they nailed the rewarding feeling that you get from defeating these bosses, because it was like I was defeating Dark Souls bosses for some of them, honestly, especially the final boss. And yeah, they just hit it out of the park with that.
Yeah, it definitely, at the very minimum, lived up to expectations. I can't say it exceeded the expectations that I first had for it when I saw it at the showcase maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
I always looked at that as, this is probably going to be an 8 out of 10. Like, I always looked at it when I saw it as, this is probably going to be a solid game. And I still feel that it is a solid game. I think combat-wise, I think it's fine. I wouldn't go to good. I would go to fine just for me. I think, like, when I look at Dark Souls, like, Dark Souls combat is... it seems
the
simple,
best,
but it's not. Yeah, I'd say it's the best. I would definitely say it's the best, and also that it looks simple, but it's not at all. I think this combat is pretty simple.
What? How far are you exactly, Thomas? Or I guess what's the latest?
I am in the
power that you have
of the second story.
Okay,
so I played a good amount. I've beaten a good amount of bosses, and the boss fights are numerous.
Yeah, they're very plentiful. I will say I enjoyed the combat more as I progressed, because of how they throw the different enemies at you and expect you, you know how to use this power, so now we're going to force you to use this in combination with this. So I think it does a really good job teaching you and building on the basics that they teach you, and I think the combat actually does get better as you progress.
Is there a targeting system?
There's a lock-on system.
Yeah,
lock-on system. Yeah. The reason I say targeting is when Zelda first came out, that they called it Z targeting, because you hit that Z button on the in the N64 controller. But does it have different biomes? Because all I see is green.
It does.
Cool. Is there snow? Is there an autumn? Is there an autumn level area? Autumn? By chance? I'm a sucker for autumn. I love autumn in game.
It depends on how you define autumn. I think there's an autumn, maybe not.
Oh, there
maybe
is.
Not.
Is it, how many biomes would you say? There's like how many biomes would you say there is? 3 at least?
3. No, 4. I would say 4. 3 or 4.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of forest, but
they do look similar. I would say overall the game has a more woodland feel to it.
For sure.
Okay. It feels like Snow White.
Yeah. Is it as pretty as Ratchet?
It is prettier.
Yes.
I was like,
for sure.
At first, when it was mostly just greens, I was saying no. But as I was going through, and once there was a certain point, I won't spoil anything, but there was a certain point where I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, I have never seen anything look this good.
I'm getting the game just off that statement.
I was just looking at it like, oh wow, like this is where we're at in gaming, where this literal like real time thing going on looks better than any cutscene I've seen in a video game. Like, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I would say from a I feel like just the combat and the story alone is a 7 out of 10. But the visuals.
And these are Pixar guys, right? Aren't they some guys from Pixar?
No, they're from Ember Labs. Used to make they made CG.
They're an animation. Yeah, they made like the Majora's Mask video game short.
Yeah, so they have experience with this. But still, that just because you have experience making those doesn't mean you can make a video game, and they prove they can. I give it up to them. Like, most people can't release an 8 out of 10 video game on their first try, and
that's the silver lining.
Game that looks amazing.
Or that's my most excited part of this is that they got this, they got under the belt, they probably learned a crap ton, from making this game. Now they'll make the money from Kena, and then they can hire more people, roll it in, and their next release might be absolutely massive.
I mean, honestly, I personally enjoyed this game more than I enjoyed Ratchet and Clank, because I feel like it did a lot of new things that with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I felt like it was, more of Ratchet and Clank, just like the next generation, the PS5 version, which, is what I expected and what I wanted. They delivered in all of that. But with Kena, there was no really expectation. There was no foundation for it before, and what they gave me surpassed what I expected, in terms of gameplay, in terms of visuals. Yeah, actually, in terms of maybe what I was expecting, and a little bit disappointed in the story, but everything else, they surpassed my expectations. So this Kena is actually one of my Game of the Year contenders for sure.
I think it deserves to be up there. I wouldn't necessarily say for me it's better than Ratchet, but I can definitely see why. I think it looks better than Ratchet, and I think the combat system is not bad, and I can see why somebody you can take to it. For me, it's just Ratchet's combat system it's melee, but it's also first person shooting.
They're very different.
They're very different, so it's hard to compare. I lean more towards the shooting side of things, so I just naturally I'm gonna gravitate towards the Ratchet.
I just really liked how Kane's bow felt.
I like the bow the most. That's probably my favorite weapon. I hate the enemies that it doesn't work against, but I think that when I got that weapon is where I was like, okay, I actually like this combat system now. Because before that, I was like, I feel really limited.
I will also say that this game, I don't think is for everyone, because of its more Dark Soulsy boss rush kind of feel to it, especially toward the end. Guys, like I was struggling real hard with this game toward the end.
Struggling on the middle difficulty. Now, maybe if I had gotten used to it on the hard, maybe it would have been able to be fine. But I saw a review when somebody, I think I was watching Skill Up, and he said, "Yeah, this is a very hard game." I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me play on the normal difficulty." I'm still having difficulty where I'm gonna have to face a boss like 5-6 times. Now, I will say though, the loading is quick. So it's like you fighting a boss like 6-7 times doesn't take anything. It's not any amount of like time consumption.
You're right back in it after you die.
Yeah, so it loads very well. I'm curious how it looks on PS4 because I call it like one of the best looking games. The funny thing is it's on PS4 as well. So I'm like, how does it look on there? Because I heard it's a steady frame rate and everything.
The interesting thing about that too is that apparently, because I was downloading it to play it, and there's like the PS5 version is about 18 gigs, but the PS4 version is 8 gigs. So I don't know.
Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's weird. So the PS5 version has
a lot of assets in it. I don't. Maybe there was a compression issue. They're a first time game maker, so I excuse things like that. So I think this game is an accomplishment. It's just showing PlayStation is like, we talk about how great Xbox has been, but when the rubber meets the road, PlayStation has released like 4 or 5 good to great exclusives this year. And Kena is one of those exclusives.
Yeah, and we'll see, what PlayStation decides to do if they want to extend a, official partnership with Ember Labs.
I pray no. I want them to develop a side Zelda game. Something in the universe. It's not gonna look as good as Kena, but you put something like this with these people. I trust these people now.
It's only gonna get better.
So yeah, it's only gonna go up from here. Kena is a step in the right direction for this genre. 'Cause I think this genre does lack, these fantasy kind of action RPGs. We don't see them as Game of the Year contenders a lot of times, but I think this one is definitely something in the right direction. But yeah, that's one of the games I've been playing, but it's not the main game I've been playing. There's 2 other games I've been playing that have taken up my life. One, and I made a review for it, for Deathloop, the Arcane PlayStation 5 console exclusive. The review is out on our channel. Watch it if you are interested. So I won't go super into my thoughts because, you know, once we get Ben on, I already know Ben's gonna have a lot of thoughts on this game. We're probably gonna have a more in-depth conversation then. Just to tide y'all over, if you want to watch the review, just, you know, we'll leave a link in the description. My thoughts on it, though, this is my current game of the year. This is right there in that slot for game of the year. It is a jack of all trades, master of a few things. And I appreciate games that I really can't complain about so much. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, even with something like, you know, I'm like, I don't like the combat so much. You know, I can always kind of nitpick things out of games. With this one, I struggled nitpicking things. This one just has a lot going on for it. It has one of the most unique stories I've experienced in a video game.
Really?
Yeah, I think it more so, like in the review, I compared it to Memento. I don't know if you ever seen, have you all ever seen Memento?
Yeah.
Yep.
It runs a little similar to that, a little more streamlined, of course, but I thought the story lended itself really well to kind of this sci-fi-esque, you know, trying to figure out what's going on the entire time type story. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's an ensemble cast of characters. The game has no cutscenes really. It's all within the first person view in engine, which I think really leads to its consistency. You know, from a combat standpoint, I don't think the gunplay is Call of Duty. Like, it's not industry standard gunplay, but the gunplay is good enough. And I also think it has that BioShock power feel to it as well. I think the powers in this game are really good. Now, look, I don't have a history with Arcane. I don't have a history with their, I played a little bit of Prey and I played a little bit of Dishonored, but not enough to like have like a really good opinion on this. That's why I want to get Ben's thoughts on this. I really love a lot of these powers. And I know they're in some of their previous games. This game just has that first person shooter feel to it. So combined with the powers, I never thought I'd get a game where it's like BioShock with the powers, but also it's a first person shooter. And it's also a stealth game as well. It has a lot going for it. I can critique little things about it, but overall, I don't think I've had a better time with a game this year. I'm safe in saying that as far as for me.
Two quick questions.
Sure.
Because I want to save them for when Ben's also here. But it surprises me that you said that the story is really good, because this is a time loop game, which I know is kind of like tried and true. Like, this has been done. I feel like we've gotten a lot of those games recently. What about the story itself makes it different from a regular time loop game?
Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid 5?
I have not played any Metal Gear games, I'm ashamed to say.
Has anybody played Metal Gear Solid 5?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Love that game.
So do you remember the main reason why that game, like in the first half, works? Besides the gameplay?
The first half of the game? You mean the most... No.
So it's like, you remember all those audio logs? You remember all... So it's like, I was addicted to those. Figuring out like this world. This game has that in spades. Where
I don't like
I was gonna say the first half of Metal Gear Solid is a bit of a slog to me.
No. I feel you. And this game to me does it differently because it has that time loop component. So you have a freedom that, while it's not an open world game by any means, but it's freer than most games where it's like you pick what you wanted. Like, you get a menu screen and you're picking your mission basically. It's like, do you want to get more information about this world? All right, come here at this specific time. You have 4 biomes you can go to, and you can pick the time of day you can go to each one. And certain visionaries, which are the bosses of each one of these levels, you can go hunt them down. When you hunt them down, you have the option to essentially either kill them or get more information about them to figure out how you're going to break the loop.
You
You have a great amount of freedom, and there's a lot of like audio books around. There's a lot of notes around. So you're learning more about this world every time, and no one's going to learn about the world in the same way, in the same fashion.
To me, this sounds like a once in a generational game.
It is.
Like
I've never played a game like this before.
And I don't. No, that's not. Yeah. In the way you're talking about it, it sounds like replay value sounds incredible. This sounds like I don't think I wouldn't like it. I'm not a first person shooter fan at all. So I'm a first person fan at all. Like unless it's got to be really, really compelling, which this may be one of them. So you're talking me into playing it. I think Taylor, you were saying you wanted to play it too.
I really want to play it. From what I've seen of the audio stuff and the audio logs and the notes you find, not only does this game have like good storytelling through non-direct means, it also is funny.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's a very important factor to a game's replayability too, is just the fact that it's funny. It's got good humor.
And it breaks the fourth wall a little bit too, right?
Yeah, it does. And I'll put it like this. There are few games where it's like, I feel like they write Black people well. This is one of those games where, and it's not even like in a stereotypical way. It's just when I'm listening to Cole and I'm listening to the lines he's saying, I'm sitting there like, I can believe somebody is saying that. It's not cheesy at all. It's not, expositionally. It's literally just, and you're really only talking to Juliana. It's just you two kind of going back and forth.
So
history is amazing. Like,
who wrote the game? Did you look up who wrote it?
No, I didn't write it work. I'll look that up when
I'm curious about that.
When me and Ben talk about it, we're probably gonna have a really in-depth discussion on it. So I'll have all those. But yeah, whoever wrote the game and whoever wrote the dialogue did a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
This game is funny. It has a vibe that I have never experienced in a game before. Like I said in the review, it reminds me of the vibe, at least, of like Black Dynamite and James Bond.
Those are good.
How is this game
be coming after? Yeah,
I don't understand how this game's not getting 10s across the board though.
I mean,
why is this Metacritic not in the 9s? Is it in the 9s?
It's 89. It's literally 89, and
I feel like this game should be a 95
like
or
4 or 5
something.
different publications. And you gotta look at it like this, like BioShock, like the original BioShock didn't get a 10. Like there are a whole bunch.
It was in the 9s though, right? It was in the 9s.
And this game's at 89. So
yeah, I guess so.
It's not like, for me, is it something like a BioShock where it's like it's going to be a cult classic? Who knows? It might be.
It seems like it is.
That vibe. I think it has that vibe of this game is going to age very well.
I think you just sold. I need a PS5 now because my PC can't handle it. But you saying that Black Dynamite thing and the James Bond thing, like that's what I want in a video game. Like I love the cheesiness of James Bond, and I love the comedy of Black Dynamite. Like that
sounds cool. Like the game sounds cool.
Yeah. I think we all should play it just, for Game of the Year considerations, because it sounds like it's going to be in that conversation.
And everybody's going to like it. It's one of those games where you're going to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
For me, I come out on the side of this is my game of the year, and it's the most interesting and original game I've played in a very long time.
And that goes a long way to a game of the year conversation to me.
Yeah,
it's something like that. Then in the same breath that Kena, how you say it? Kena.
And I would say like Kena is like the Oscar bait of the game of the year discussion.
Yeah,
like it's doing a lot of things. It's checking a lot of boxes. It's checking a lot of boxes. Like the boxes you need for game of the year, it's checking a lot of them. Great graphics, check.
Graphics,
good combat,
but
it's not doing anything that's super like unique.
But it's unique in the fact that it's reaching back to the past.
Yeah,
like everybody's calling it this PS2 game. So I think that's the uniqueness of the game, is the fact that it's kind of going back to the PS2 roots. So as crazy as that sounds, I think that is what's unique about the game.
Yeah, not that
it's going back to that.
It's not unique or bland. I give it 8 out of 10. I like it, but it's more traditional.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is
exactly.
nothing wrong with traditional. Deathloop is the opposite of traditional. Like I've never played a game like Deathloop. I don't want games to be more like Deathloop. I want Deathloop to be on its own as its own thing.
Hey, before we go into the next section, somewhere in the last like 20 seconds, listening to Thomas, I just had an epiphany, like a change in my soul. My soul just rotated from this really pessimistic view of this year on video games, which you all know I have had a very pessimistic view this year on video games. And it just warmed my heart a little bit. I just feel this turn that like this year may be something special.
Yeah,
I thought
I had this feeling.
Disagree with that original like thought of the year not being good, because I feel like in the past like 3 weeks, I've gotten a lot as far as for me. And
yeah, I just had that realization, and it just made me happy.
I want to talk in depth about one more game, but before I do that, I want to give a special shout out to Life is Strange: True Colors. They did it. They got it right this time. They got it right.
I'm watching a Let's Play of it right now, actually.
And
I think I'm on episode 4.
That game. That's a fine. Like I am so in love with this story. This is going on my game of the year. Are
you finished?
Plot. No, I'm on episode 3.
Okay.
So yeah,
I think it's fine. It's fine. It's a fine story.
And look, I'm a simp for Life is Strange. I love the first game. I thought the second one was very, very, very disappointing.
Yeah, same. Same. I think we all felt that way.
And I think that this is probably going to be the best Life is Strange game. Now, what that means as far as like, as far as one of the best video games of the year, I'm not for sure yet. I haven't rationalized my thoughts on it yet, but I like what I'm seeing so far. But I have to talk about Halo Infinite. I got a email from HaloWaypoint.com, and I got access into the alpha for this weekend and for next weekend. So I have been playing Halo Infinite multiplayer and Halo Infinite, just the training against bots. So I've been playing those things. And
before you say anything, before you say something, just got to frame it. Let's just frame it like this.
Okay.
Is Halo back?
I believe it is. And look, this is why I said Deathloop is currently my game of the year. It's currently my game of the year, but as I'm playing this game,
you get me hyped, dude. You get me hyped. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I'm so excited.
If everything goes right, like if it's what I think it's going to be, this is going to be my game of the year. I am playing this happy as a little kid. The shooting feels amazing. It's like I liked Halo 5's gunplay. They took every criticism they got from that game, and I feel like it's just for the better. This gunplay feels great. I think the multiplayer, I like what they're doing with it because it's more challenge based as opposed to leveling up. There's going to be a battle pass that you buy one time, and you're going to mostly be buying cosmetics. I like that decision. And just playing it, man. Like, just playing it, Halo's back. I think that it's safe to say that as long as they get the story right, which is up in the air. That is very up in the air. We don't know. I just marathoned through Halo 2 last weekend and this weekend. And, those games hold up in a weird way.
Story-wise or gameplay as well?
Both. And the thing is about Halo 2 is because the Master Chief Collection, you can play either the Anniversary Edition or the original. So I'm not trying to play the original edition at all because it looks pretty bad. But still, like, we're dealing with a game that's nearly 20 years old. And it's still, even if the remastered state, it's holding up pretty well. And so it has a lot. Halo Infinite has a lot to live up to. These games are classic games.
So I have a request.
A lot to hold up to. I think it might do it.
Will you Sherpa me through the Halo franchise in the online campaign mode? Because I've never played the whole franchise.
You said describe
Sherpa me through, play. Can you play it together online co-op through the whole series?
If you ever want to do that, I just completed Halo 2 literally with my friend yesterday. I got through 1 and I got through 3. Whichever one you want to play, just let me know. Because I love those games.
That's awesome. That's good news. That's good news.
One day I'll get into this Game Pass.
Video games need a healthy Halo.
I think this is going to be an interesting year, especially with the shooters coming out at the end, because we have Battlefield and we have Call of Duty. And Call of Duty, I'm not even going to hold you. Call of Duty does not look the greatest this year. And I don't know if this is a good year for them to kind of make a middle of the road Call of Duty. Now, obviously, it has to come out. We have to get the reviews for it and everything. But this looks like it's going to be an average Call of Duty year.
It is, but Call of Duty always sells gangbusters.
Here's the thing. Sales are one thing. Zeitgeist is a different thing. Like, what are people going to be streaming? Like, what's going to catch the zeitgeist? Like, that's what I'm more... Because Halo's not even competing on that level, because Halo's going to be free multiplayer, and it's going to be on Game Pass day one. So sales of it don't really matter. It's about, is it capturing people's attention? And I think in that category, it can for sure challenge Call of Duty. Sales-wise, it's a lost battle. Like, they've already lost that.
I think it's going to be huge, especially hearing... I'm glad that you're saying that at least the open beta like looks amazing and plays and feels amazing, because that's kind of what we need for a new Halo. I mean, even what they showed, like, it got me, the person who doesn't really like first-person shooters and definitely not competitive ones, to be like, oh, it's free to play and it looks awesome like that. I'm probably gonna hop in. So, I mean, if it can even get like the people who aren't that like interested,
both of us,
like,
about it.
I think it's already a success.
It's perfect. I think that, because the one thing that's a negative is we're not gonna have co-op for probably, I believe, like summer. So that's a little disappointing. But if that story is good, I'm probably gonna recommend that to y'all to play, because I feel like getting into the story first is essential. Because that's
instead of the multiplayer.
You said what?
Rather than the multiplayer?
I would say yeah, because that's where you learn the guns. That's where you get a more appreciation for the multiplayer. So yeah, I would recommend. I'm assuming the story is gonna probably not be like. I'm assuming you're gonna have to know certain things about the lore, but I'm assuming they're gonna try to make it work for everybody. So I highly recommend it so far. Obviously, things can change, the fluid situation, but I just had to talk about Halo because I love this franchise and I'm newly acquainted to it.
Sweet. I'm excited.
Cole, what have you been playing this week?
I was on mute. I play some more Eastward, which I'm still liking. Taylor, did you play that any? Just curious. Okay. I won't say anything else about that. I don't have anything new really to say on that. I've been playing Rocket League, obviously. I always play that. But I found a game that I've been missing since the launch of my PS5. I cleaned out my office, and I've been missing Demon Souls since launch, and I've been wanting to play it. And I've looked for it and looked for it and looked for it. Finally found it, put it back in my PS5, and oh man, it is awesome.
Can we co-op that game?
Yeah, dude.
We should do that this week, because I've actually been meaning to get back into that.
So it's funny that you say that, because this is what I was going to say about Demon Souls. So Bloodborne is one of my favorite games of all time. Bloodborne, Rocket League, GTA 5, 3 favorite games. But one of the reasons I love Bloodborne so much is because I co-opted it with my buddy, with one of my best friends. We played through the whole game together, and like I would summon him into my game, and we'd go through a portion, then we go back to his game and play together, and it was so fun playing bosses like that.
I did that too with my friend.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's really the reason I loved Bloodborne so much. So I'm not liking Demon Souls as much just because I hadn't done that. So if you want to do that, that would be great. I think
I've been meaning to get back to it. I got through a good amount of it, and then I just fell off of it.
Yeah,
it wasn't due to the lack of quality of the game. That game, looks incredible.
Yeah, it does. And I was thinking, like, why is this? I kept thinking, like, the reason why these games are so special. I mean, there's several things. The combat is the best combat in gaming, I think, hands down. I don't think anything else touches it. But the sound design is unbelievable in these games, and I think
Souls.
It's especially
PS5 control with the dual sense, like
Yeah.
you get your sword and stuff.
Yeah, and part of it is there's no music in the game. It's just you and the environment, and it gives that creepy feel where it's like you just can't. There's no music. You're walking around these areas, and you're just hearing the environment and the monsters and the enemies and stuff. But there's not much else we can really say. It's kind of old news at this point. But I've been playing Demon Souls, and it's really good and it's beautiful. I play on performance mode. I feel like 60 frames per second is the way to go on that game.
Okay.
And I'll generally err to the side of 30 frames per second because I'll go for the better graphics and higher resolution. But this game is like you have to play 60 frames per second. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. So I'll digress.
You should make sure you play Kana and then tell me which final boss is harder.
Well, yeah. So I'll definitely play Kana. And playing Demon Souls and Dark Souls, it makes every other game seem a lot easier. Because when you go through this game, oh my gosh, these games are ridiculous. But yeah.
And Taylor,
I could have been playing Eastward. I could have spent the money on that.
You should have. I thought you were going in for that one.
I
thought I sold you on that, dude. I was
You did.
I was trying to sell you hard on that game.
No,
You guys were selling me on it. I was listening.
Dude, I dropped Mother 3 several times to sell Taylor on it.
No, I'm gonna play Eastward 100% without a doubt. But I spent my paycheck on Skatebird. Which is by all definition a video game.
Tell us more.
I don't want to be too harsh on it. I will start this with I'm gonna steal a quote from Kotaku, from Zach Zuizen over at Kotaku, because I love this. It's so funny. The quote in question is the game starts, you build a bird like you build a bear, and it skates. And so there's a little bird builder, and then at the end of the first paragraph of this article, Zach Zuizen writes, "Unfortunately, after making a bird, you have to play Skatebird," and that's where it all sort of falls apart. And I agree with that.
No.
Well, I did agree with that. When I first started playing it did feel like that. You get done with the character customization, and it's just you're thrown into this nonsense, and there's pretty wonky controls. There's no real goal or destination. It's just sort of loosey-goosey. It's very loosey-goosey, to use a bird pun. When I was in college, I was part of a video game production group. We wanted to make a game. That was the goal. First day there, I kid you not, one of these fucking nerds goes, "Well, why don't we make Flappy Bird, but like with a cat?" And so from that point, I just started. I started throwing ideas out. I started throwing out stupid ideas to see what these people would take. I was like, butt chugger deluxe, a beer butt chugging game, and like it's just like nonsense. And this game feels like that sort of mentality where you just throwing stuff at the wall. Skateboard. You say board, bird, skatebird. And it sort of comes together like that, and there's not much thought put into it. That said, my initial thought of the game was pretty bad, but I kept playing it. I spent $20 on this goddamn game. I'm gonna play it. So I played it for a little bit, and I started to get warmer and warmer. I never got past boiling. I never got like hot on this game. It is cute. The controls are bad. The humor is awkward.
There's humor in the game.
There's humor in Skateboard. Yeah, all the birds have like little personalities. The goal of the game is all these birds have like an owner, or some of the birds have an owner called Big Friend, and Big Friend works an office job, and they want to make life better for Big Friend. And so they're little bird jokes. The most egregious bird joke of all is the fact that they have an Anthony Hawk in the game, and that's why the game was made, was to say, "Oh, we know a guy. He's a hawk named Anthony, and he's really good at skateboarding." That's 100% the only reason the game was made. And the joke fell flat, like real flat, because it's not even creative. But I will give the game credit where credit's due. It is very chill. It's a chill game. The soundtrack is pretty cool. I like the soundtrack a lot. And as much as the controls don't work half the time, for example, you're given these little missions, and little missions are like to do these little tricks and flips. And once you do like 3 of this trick, you pass the mission, right? Like Tony Hawk. And you don't know what the tricks are sometimes. Like there's not really much of a tutorial. So, do a mega loop 360, and you're like, what is that? You're giving me 90 seconds to complete this mission. Tell me what the trick you want me to do is. And it says press start, and you'll see the instructions, and the instructions are do the trick. I'm like, give me the keys I need to press to do the trick. But it doesn't do that half the time, and it's very frustrating. But luckily, if you just sort of mash buttons and go around real fast, you somehow accomplish all the tricks in the game. I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I get past it. Which it's a little aggravating, and it's not really what I'd call an immersive game. It's a demersive game where you're taken out of it all the time. But those are all the negatives. The positives are it's very easy to pick up. It's relaxing. I like games that are completely zone out, mindless. The music is really nice if you just want to sit back for like 20 minutes. If I'm in the middle of something, and you sometimes have these moments in life where you don't have anything to do for like 20 minutes. Like there's a little gap in between your schedule, and you're like, I can't get invested in anything. I can't pull out Metal Gear Solid 5. I can't pull out Fallout. I can't do something like time investing. But Skatebird, I can pull out and just sort of skate around for a couple minutes, do some tricks, feel real cool if I do them well. And that's it. That's really all there is.
That's why exactly what you just said is why I got addicted to Rocket League, because it's like
Oh, no.
Skatebird. It's that mindless 15-minute game. You can pop in, play 2 games, and then except that game is really good. Let me ask you this though: why did Skatebird blow up? I mean, it hadn't really blown up, but it's definitely got media attention and stuff. Why is it? Why is it getting?
Wasn't it at E3?
Yes.
I've definitely seen it
like,
somewhere.
Why is it? How is it getting all this attention?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's just the cute concept. People are looking for like different games, and this one seems like someone from the early 2000s who is lol so random would make, like lol waffles and laugh and then go Skatebird. It's so funny, unicorn poop, and they made this game, and I think people were looking for something different, and this is different in kind of a bland way. It's not different at all. It's a worse Tony Hawk, and Tony Hawk's not a great game. It's a charming game, but this is that worse. Is all I'm saying.
Would you recommend us trying this game if it is on Game Pass, since it is?
No.
Okay.
I actually wouldn't.
Damn.
Why?
I wouldn't.
Just because it's so poorly made in game mechanics wise.
Literally not even worth
Our time.
Free.
Yes, I definitely don't. I don't recommend this to Game Pass users. I know that's it's free, and that seems incentivizing. But I think the proper game system for this is the Switch. If it was free on the Switch, I would recommend it.
Okay.
I don't think you should waste your processing power on this game. I don't think you should take time out of your day to play this game on your Xbox or on your PC. You really, there are so many better things you could be doing with your time than playing Skatebird. I will play it every once in a while in the future. I probably will pick it up once or twice more, but I am done with it. It doesn't have enough to grab me. It's awkward. It's not funny. It's lazy. The mechanics are bad. The controls are bad. The characters, I've seen a lot of people praising like the character customization. It's bad. The characters look awful. It's not even like, I've seen a rise in like PS1 graphics becoming like popular again. much like pixel art did. I've seen people compare it to that. It's not. This is just low poly and ugly. It doesn't even have the charm of PS1 graphics. It's everything about it is just missing that bar of margin for me to recommend it to people. Like I can't. I literally can't. I'm sorry.
You saying not to play it is making me want to play.
Give it a go. Give it a go.
I think I might just hop in
so bad
just
it's
for
good situation,
10
right?
seconds. I'm just so intrigued of how bad this game could be, you know, since I have Game Pass.
It's not. See, the thing is, it's not that bad, but I don't think it's worth your time to play on Game Pass. That's really all. I think there's better things you could play. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not saying it's not like B-movie video game bad, which is a bad video game, but it's closer to that than I would say good. If I had to give it a number rating out of like 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 4, but closer to 5. It's not quite good enough. And I really do think a lot of the hype for this game was just, it's different and cool, but all those people who thought it were different and cool are stupid. And you can quote me on that.
Well, shouts out to their marketing department.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
They still got your $20.
If it was free on the Switch, because it's such an easy to pick up and play game, like I could be sitting on the toilet and play Skatebird. That's where I would play this, on the toilet, to mix with all the other refuse. But I wouldn't sit down and use your gaming box to play this. If you played this on a road trip or at grandma's funeral or a bar mitzvah, sure. You could sneak this in, pull it out, play it. You'd be weird. You'd be a bad person for doing those things. But I can see that being the place to play this game.
Well, let's talk about some better Nintendo Switch games, or at least some that we are expecting to be a little better. Because this week we had our first in a long time Nintendo Direct. Now, I want to go around and everybody just give their letter grade of how this Direct was for them. You're first, Alfredo.
What letters do you choose?
Okay. Letter grade? Okay, I give it C+.
Taylor?
B minus.
So
Cole?
generous.
I know.
I'll give it a C minus.
And I will give it a D for Direct.
Wow, we are all over the place.
Yeah,
Well,
I lean more
really,
with Thomas. I'm D plus territory if that's even a thing.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Live was. I was saying I could have been watching anything else.
Real? Huh.
I could have just got these announcements later. Like, all right, cool. Like, I was waiting for things to get better. I want to talk about what was not there first and foremost.
Sure.
Okay.
So it's advertised as a holiday 2021 Direct.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing 2022 stuff here. There's a lot of 2022 stuff here. So why we couldn't see more Zelda, I don't know. Why we can get an announcement of the Mario game they're obviously working on, I don't know.
'Cause it's September.
Yeah, they're saving some stuff for probably December for Video Game Awards.
That's cool. Why are we getting an announcement of an announcement for the new Super Smash character?
This is fair. We're also getting an announcement for Animal Crossing. They did it multiple times in the show where they said, hey, something's happening, but wait until this date and time, or wait until all the way till November to get the actual, information that will be coming.
I'm gonna chalk that up to coronavirus stuff. I'm gonna chalk that up to like restrictions.
I can't give them that.
But couldn't they just
Sony and-
not
Sony
say
and
anything until that date?
Microsoft are
No,
the
you got
same thing.
you gotta hype it up. You gotta hype up the Smash thing because it is special. They want to do a special event for the last Smash DLC character. That's fair.
But I'm pretty sure, didn't they tweet out saying, "Hey, this Nintendo Direct, there's gonna be Smash news"? Did they do that, or was
we did get that.
Yeah, so they could have did that and said on October 5th, when it is actually happening, is when you should actually tune in.
They also
Like
want
that character
Yes,
would get the
that's true.
same amount of hype for getting released here as they will on the 5th.
real quick. Who do you think it's gonna be?
Sora,
The Chief.
Sora and
Ooh.
Riku.
Oh my god, it's got to be Master Chief.
That would be so It'd be so perfect.
That would be.
It would be perfect. It just makes sense timing wise.
Sorry, no. It's Kingdom Hearts.
Who's more
It's time for
important
Kingdom Hearts.
Who's more important in gaming in the grand scheme of things?
Okay, let's not argue who's more
It's-
important.
It's the
Who's to say?
last DLC character. It has to be.
It is.
If Sora was going to be in there, it had to be like a DLC pack ago.
Yeah.
He cannot be the last one.
I think it could
is
happen.
on in the public opinion zeitgeist.
Hey, I'll be happy either way, but my hope is that we'll get Sora or Riku. I think it's a good chance considering it's more cartoony in nature. They already have, Square Enix properties, Final Fantasy characters specifically in it, so you could easily have Kingdom Hearts in there.
I'm sold on Master Chief. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
Who do you want, Cole?
Master Chief for sure. Although I do want Sora. Like I would want Sora over every other DLC character we've had.
I would want both of them. Like I would.
Yeah,
like
I want both of them.
Game that'd be cool.
But if you got to go with one, and you're gonna go with one this fall, it has to be Master Chief.
Yeah, it has.
I mean,
to.
it would be a slam dunk for them. Honestly.
Oh yeah. And this is the grand finale too.
Sony and not Sony. I'm sorry. Nintendo and Microsoft. We've seen them kind of like play
together.
Mhm.
They got Minecraft. They got
perfect.
Banjo.
It's as obvious, I think.
But it's going to be a disappointing character. I just have a feeling.
It's probably gonna be neither.
It's gonna be a Final Fan. It's gonna be a final Fire Emblem character.
Oh
Probably.
my gosh.
So but we'll see. But let's talk about some of these games. I guess we can kind of start
Well,
with.
I will say that before we go into that, I want to say, Nintendo. Look what Sony just did. Like, look how awesome that conference was. Like, Nintendo could show us a little bit of something, like whether it's a Breath of the Wild little snippet or something, a Mario snippet or a Mario
these
Kart.
Pokemon
What about the
games.
next Mario Kart? You know they're working on the next Mario Kart.
Well, Pokemon games weren't here. That's another.
Like, give us
no,
something. Yeah, give us a
Thomas,
piece of a.
The reason the Pokemon games weren't here is because there's going to be a Pokemon Direct in like
yeah.
3 weeks. Because they've been doing that. The Pokemon Direct has always followed it in October for like the past couple of years to like really pump up the November game. Like here's everything you wanted to see. Yeah,
You can have both though. Like,
Just give us one more thing.
Having a Nintendo Direct for the Pokemon games doesn't mean you don't have to show it here. Like
I just
we need to see more Arceus. We need to see more of that. That game is coming really soon.
I actually think the opposite. I think we need to see less of it for a little bit and have it come back and look even better and go, okay, I can
It's not gonna look so good.
yeah, I can stop cutting myself in my sleep again.
Hey, they can pull a Kana where they kind of go sleeper hit and then bam, it's out and it looks good.
I thought you meant like graphics wise. I was like,
Oh no, that ain't happening.
Imagine that studio having a Pokemon game. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, games.
Yeah, speaking of like we didn't get Mario Kart, but we did get Chocobo GP, which is like the Final Fantasy ripoff Mario Kart. We got that.
So excited.
And a whole bunch of
I thought
other
it was Mario Kart at first because I wasn't paying fully attention. I was like, wait, is there a Chocobo in Mario Kart now? It's like, oh no, it's a Chocobo kart racer. Oh, I didn't need that.
Nope.
Honestly, that's kind of how I felt about most of the games that I saw for this specific Direct. I felt like a lot of them weren't speaking to me, with the expansion for Monster Hunter Rise, with, I think, ActRaiser. Sorry?
You played that?
No, I haven't. Like, I'm saying a lot of these games didn't speak to me just because I'm uninterested. You know, they had DLC for that game. They were putting out a lot of interesting, I would say more indie choices, but they
Are
did
you
pull out a few good
sure?
breaks.
When I'm looking at the list and I'm like, you know, when I don't get touched by a direct, which is more and more frequently, it's usually because they like have a ham fist full of children's games announced and indie stuff that doesn't look very good. This looks like their proper gamer setup, like adult Nintendo fan gamer setup. Like they got Disco Elysium, they
That's
got
fair.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, they got Bayonetta, Splatoon, Rune Factory, but it's just none of it's clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame.
None of it. Like Metroid Dread was there, and look, whenever that game is there, I am excited because I'm looking forward to that game, and that game is very soon. That game is 2 weeks away.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it was that close.
Yep, it's on the 8th.
Yep.
So whenever they show that game, I'm like, all right, like yes, more of this. That was a highlight because I don't care about the story for that game per se. So it's like you can spoil whatever you want, Nintendo, with that game. Show me as much as you want. I just love looking at this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a highlight for sure.
Kirby.
Yes, the other one. I
Another
thought
highlight.
that actually looked pretty good, and I do not like Kirby games except for Kirby Air Ride, which we were talking about earlier. That's a classic. But yeah, this actually looked pretty good. It looked like Mario Odyssey-esque.
Yeah, it did.
Do you think Nintendo put out a memo to all of their brands and said open world did us so well with Mario and Zelda, everyone has to do it. That's the way of the future is open world, sandboxy.
Open world.
Huh?
Mario Odyssey is not open world. Well, sandboxy. Well, there's certain levels. That are
Mhm.
More so than like most other Mario games and Nintendo games in general, but Zelda for sure. And I think Nintendo knows that those games are good because there's that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so they're telling their studios Pokemon, Kirby for some reason, and I'm sure Metroid 4 as well, our secret little Metroid game, they're all going to be open world because Nintendo thinks that's what people want. And I hope they don't.
Is it like Nintendo's just finally getting on this train, this open world train that started like 10 years ago?
Yep.
10 years ago.
Oh yeah. You think that in 10 years from now they'll get onto the online train maybe, so we can play games online.
But it's new for Nintendo, it's new for us.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I love open world stuff like this Kirby. I thought Mario Odyssey was done great. Like the open like mini worlds.
And Mario Odyssey is amazing. So this game looking a little bit like that made me very interested. I think that this game it's screaming like 7 to 8 out of 10, but I'm giving it a caveat of if they do it right, this could be another like Mario Odyssey type game. I think it'll be really good for them. Anybody else for Kirby before we move on to the next game?
No, looks good.
Also, why is post-apocalyptic like a thing? Like such a like all of
I think zombies are really like when you think post-apocalyptic, you think zombies. Obviously, you can't put zombies in a Kirby game, so it's post-apocalyptic. We'll put an abandoned mall.
That mall looks good though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's I like the setting of it because that's not what I was expecting. I know it leaked before, but I didn't see the leak, so I didn't know what I was watching.
How much more excited? What would your score be if this was if this was a Donkey Kong game?
Not really. I think it would.
Really, I would be so hyped if this was a Donkey Kong.
Not a Donkey Kong fan. Not even gonna hold you.
Really?
I see. I think Donkey Kong is the perfect place for platformers for Nintendo. 2D platformers.
Yeah, it is. They're great too.
Mario's got that 3D platformer shit down on lock, and Donkey Kong just moves better in that 2D space. And I think the platforming in Tropical Freeze was some of the best I've ever played.
That's
true.
actually a good game. Tropical Freeze is the one Donkey Kong game I do appreciate a lot.
It's funny that you say that though, Clarence, because while I was watching this, I was kind of like, okay, I know Kirby is typically or always 2D and is now making this jump to 3D. And this game honestly seems like it's Super Mario Odyssey with a Kirby paint, like a fresh coat of paint on it. So I honestly don't know what new and what different it possibly is gonna bring, even though I'm excited for it.
Probably nothing sucking up, enemies. Even that was similar, where it's like he's sucking up enemies and becoming it.
Yeah,
Mario stole that from Kirby. Mario took that idea from Kirby.
Oh, I believe it, but
he did.
They're just redoing it again.
Yeah.
It seems like, at least.
It's like how Uncharted was inspired by Tomb Raider, and now Tomb Raider's ripping off Uncharted. You know, it's like it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Kirby on the Z-axis though could be really cool. Just because of the way Kirby moves in a very unique way for 2D platformers. With how floaty he is, but on purpose. It's like a purposeful floatiness. And you get a lot. You normally you want hefty characters on your platform, but Kirby works really well, and I'm really excited to see like weird level design with that floaty sort of. You run and you slide and you jump and you don't really plummet. You kind of glide down, and I'm just like that could be really really cool in 3D. So.
For sure. So I think we're all in some levels looking forward to that game. That was one of the highlights for sure. Got a lot of not trash, but just stuff that's like not appealing to me. But we did get the triangle strategy. I'm actually really looking forward to that game. That's from the creators of Octopath Traveler. So I am looking forward to a tactics-based Final Fantasy Tactics-esque game. Like I think they could really do a good job with that. Especially if they don't do the same thing they did with Octopath, where it's like multiple different.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It looks like they're not doing that, and it looks like they're doing some Until Dawn-ish, branching tree narrative type of thing, which could be interesting. But as long as they don't do the branching story, or not branching storylines, but split storylines, and make your actual party travel together instead of acting like they just don't exist. I think it'll be a slam dunk.
I think so too. Now they closed the show off with 2 games that I think they wanted to highlight really, because both these games have been rumored for a while. Both of them have been announced in their own ways, but we hadn't really seen gameplay of either. The first one was Splatoon 3. That kind of seemed like Splatoon 3. I always picture it was going to look exactly like that.
Yeah, it looks
exactly
like
Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
And Splatoon 1.
I was kind of like, is this different from Splatoon 2? Someone tell me.
I thought it was like an update to Splatoon 2.
Me too.
Oh god, seriously, tell me.
Well,
about
I
it.
know that Splatoon 2 didn't have a single player mode, so I know they were hyping that up.
It kind of
right?
It did kind of.
Did it?
Yeah,
you know what?
I played through the whole Splatoon 2 suite. It was.
You know what? I like the single player stuff on Splatoon.
It's fine. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, I liked it better than the multiplayer. I didn't really care for the multiplayer.
Yeah, I think that Splatoon 3 is going to come out and do just as well as Splatoon 2 did. Which isn't bad. It's not bad. And as a fan base, I think, Taylor, you said it, like there's a fan base for this game.
There's a fan base. Yeah.
I think
it'd be
part of it.
I think it'd be cool if they actually go the esports route. We were talking a little bit about this before, but they'll definitely need to, spend some money on that Nintendo Online in order to make that happen, because esports is huge with Overwatch, Call of Duty, anything on Twitch. So if they can capture a little bit of that for Splatoon 3, then they'll be pretty set. Like I feel like that can make it different.
Do you know what would put Splatoon over the map?
Battle Royale.
I didn't think about that. Maybe that'd be a good idea too. But
that would be a good idea for Splatoon.
I think they should put Mario in this game. I think they should put Luigi.
No, God, no, they can't.
He's a plumber. He'd be spraying poop around. It'd be brown paint.
This is true.
I think this would give the Splatoon the life it needs.
Still playing it.
Make it like a Mario Kart though, loaded up with Nintendo.
I don't even think you need to do that per se. Like you can make them DLC or something. But I think
they're in Mario Kart.
No, I'm saying opposite. Opposite. way.
Oh, okay,
Like,
gotcha.
Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, all these people. Give them the little what is it, the ink guns,
Mhm.
stuff like that, the ink swords and stuff. Give them that. Give them some of that.
I-
I think that would be pretty cool.
That
Yeah,
would
I
be
do too.
cool.
That said, I do think that Splatoon is one of the best avenues Nintendo has into that esport gamer realm. I mean, Pokemon has a pretty vibrant meta game that is getting worse, but I think they are trying to balance it. What else do you have esports wise Nintendo?
Smash.
I think oh
Yeah.
yeah, Smash. Duh.
Oh yeah, ARMS.
That's
Had their chance.
apparently ARMS is very popular in like Japan and Korea. Like
I can see that. I can see that.
yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just I think Splatoon's the best way for American audiences to play esport Nintendo games.
Mhm.
But it's not there.
Well,
It's-
I'm definitely hoping it's good because I want more good games in the ether than bad. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll keep a nose on it. But the last game that was announced is the one that it almost made me think the direct was good. I had to really reflect and be like, oh no, I didn't like this direct at all. But they did announce my most anticipated Nintendo Switch game besides Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is coming out later this year, which I'm mad they didn't show. They showed gameplay of Bayonetta 3.
And it looks good.
Looks
does,
good.
yeah.
I'm sitting there like my Switch is gonna feel like a stove.
I did see those frame rate drops real heavy in that
Oh,
last
yeah.
section.
I was
It
like,
was struggling.
This Switch is gonna get hot playing that game. That game, I was sitting there like, this is gonna be on a Switch.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like that is something I would not be surprised gets pushed back to like a Switch Pro thing because
Yeah.
that thing looks
Oh.
intensive.
Yeah. You know what? It made me forget about Parasite Eve. I was like,
Me too.
I'm like Bayonetta. I'll take that skin tight latex suit any day.
But
Because
at
they
least
do it
we
in a
know.
peaceful way. Somehow, some way, Bayonetta comes off tasteful.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think one of the big differences between that and Parasite Eve, in my opinion, is the fact that in Parasite Eve, and I've been reading a little bit more about like the complaints people have had about the sexualization of the character, which I still think is a little funny because it's just whatever. But it's anime. But at the same time, now that I look at her, I'm like, oh, she does just sort of look like bland hot woman. She's got no character or personality. The trailers didn't really give her anything other than she jumps and flips and does shooting and stuff like that. Bayonetta, on the other hand, is badass bitch.
And she owns it.
She's the
And
best
she owns it.
female. She's one of the best female like main characters we have in gaming.
Yeah,
Mhm.
without a doubt.
Most likely in the top 5, and I put her pretty high.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She has every game. Like she's the one. She has a different hairstyle every single game.
Right. Yeah. New hairstyle and outfits.
What female characters in video games get that treatment?
None.
And like when I saw the new hairstyle, I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
They have a whole
Outfit
team
is
of people
perfect.
working on that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it.
And I
They
do
need it for those attacks.
Platinum is a developer that has a lot of great games. They have a couple of duds too, but they have a very wide range of good games. You know, they have Astral Chain, they have Nier Automata, which I think probably would be their best game. But Bayonetta, I think, is their premier franchise.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think there's going to be no holds barred in terms of this. I could see this as their best game. I could really see this coming out. And
I don't know. I
think
don't know.
it's-
And
there's so much hype around it. They've had a lot of time to work on it.
I think that it could if it wasn't being restricted by the Nintendo Switch. Because
Yeah,
like we were
It's always
saying,
restricted, though.
Why? What
Yeah.
was the decision to move Bayonetta to the Switch? Why money?
Partnership?
Literally, that's money. I remember because it was originally Bayonetta 1 was for Xbox 360
Yeah.
and PlayStation 3.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They needed publishing for Bayonetta 2, and no third-party publisher wanted to publish it because I don't think the first
Huh.
game sold like gangbusters.
Mhm.
Nintendo said, that could be a pretty good exclusive for the Wii U. And so
Yeah.
they funded Bayonetta 2, and that's
And it was.
Wii U exclusive.
It was one of the most popular games of that
Probably
system,
the most
for sure.
critically acclaimed Wii U game.
Yeah.
It's up there.
And it makes sense since, PlayStation and Xbox, they have Devil May Cry, and Nintendo has Bayonetta. Like they're very, very similar games.
Oh, there was a Virgil looking dude at the end of it, which I'm like,
There was.
are
Yeah.
we getting this? Is this gonna be part of it? Like, we're gonna also get a Devil May Cry crossover too. It's
That would
not
be
out the
awesome.
realm. That would be amazing. I was taken, and we had a mech battle with her hair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like, because I always was really thinking, like, how is Bayonetta going to improve its already pretty much perfect gameplay?
Right.
And I'm looking at Bayonetta 3, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna do it. I think it's gonna be improved.
But that's why I'm concerned, because the whole time I was looking at this trailer, I was like, I don't know if the Switch can handle this. I don't know about this. Like I was thinking about, I want Bayonetta to be the best it can be, and I feel like the hardware is going to be so limiting on what it could have been. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's real. No, I definitely respect that, because if this was on PlayStation 5, that thing would look.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it gets along just fine of what it's going to be. It's going to look like probably the best looking Switch game.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
I think the decision to move Bayonetta to it as well works in favor of Bayonetta, because I think the fan base would be much more easily accessible on the Switch on Nintendo consoles. A little bit more casual, but very accessible. It's just accessible. So I could see this doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the highlight of the conference for me, in a conference of announcements and a lot of ports.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought real quick. What I was going to finish that with is sometimes accessibility trumps great gameplay. You don't need the best graphics. You don't need the best. It's. I'm not saying you're wrong, Alfredo, because you're right, because the Switch is definitely going to hinder some of the performance of this game, but ultimately, it's not going to matter to the player base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And look, Bayonetta 2 looks really good on Switch. Like, I played through that. Game looks really good. So I think if it just looks like Bayonetta 2, I will be satisfied.
I think before this game comes out, I'm going to have to get Bayonetta 1 and 2 on my Switch. And I played it on PC the first time through, so maybe playing it on my Switch will make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they're bundled together, right?
Yeah, they are, I think.
Yeah,
I believe so.
I got it for like $20 one day. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so we just went through the conference. Now, our last topic, we'll try to make this shorter, but because it's kind of old news. We had that big data leak from NVIDIA, and we got some games that were leaked out that a lot of them were kind of rumored, but I don't think any of these games are announced. So I want to go around and everybody just pick 2 games that they're most looking forward to. We'll start the opposite way. Cole, what is your 2 most anticipated games from this leak list?
I have not seen the list yet. I'm pulling it up. I don't remember. So you can come with me last, and
I'll go first then. Yeah, I'll go first. So one game that I was not expecting to see here is a little game called Crisis 4. Now, Crisis, I've played through Crisis 3. Don't remember the story to save my life. It wasn't that memorable. But man, that thing looked good on the computer I was playing it on.
I think the remaster's coming, right? Like the trilogy?
Yeah, remaster's coming soon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I am very curious, because that series, if it's not known for anything else, it's known for pushing the boundaries of how good a game can look.
Yeah.
I am very curious as to how good that game is going to look. Taking advantage, because it's going to be using like a 3080 as the baseline. Like, so we're gonna seeing
next gen only, all that good stuff. Probably
it might push the PS5 and Series X to its limit. Like, I am curious as to what that's going to look like. So that's one of the games that I was super, high on. I think it's going to be. For sure that's real, because I'm sure that's probably been in development for years at this point.
Yeah.
So the other one that I am anticipating more for personal reasons, I'm anticipating the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster.
Oh, it's gonna be so good if it's true.
That game is hard to play now. The only way to play it I know of that's pretty easy is on your phone. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I'm really surprised we haven't.
No.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten one already, because Final Fantasy Tactics used to be a big thing where it was like coming out consistently like every year, if every not 2 years, right?
I think so. I think I can only name 3 Tactics games.
Let me do some.
I know the SNES one, that's the best one. And the one on Game Boy, which is really good too. And I think there was one on PSP. I think that's really it.
Okay, let's see. You've got the phone one, like you already said. Doing some quick research. Don't quote me on this. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I got to do more research on this, but let's go with what you said, Thomas.
Yeah, so I'm just anticipating that this is going to be. It doesn't even have to be a Final Fantasy VII situation. I could use this game as a remake on my Switch, and I would be happy. So I'm really anticipating those 2 games. Cole, did you have anything?
Yeah.
Let me go.
No, I'm gonna steal Alfredo. I'm gonna steal Alfredo's.
No.
Okay, I won't steal it.
No, go for it. I can pick.
No, I won't.
I already know Alfredo's 2 games. I already know them.
Yeah, we know what they are. So okay, so I'll go with BioShock 2022. I'm just excited to see what that is. No one's released anything on that. And then I hate to be obvious, but Grand Theft Auto remasters. If that's my most hyped, I just want to know what those are, which I have a feeling I'm just going to be disappointed. It's just going to be a big disappointment.
If it said remake, I'd be more happy. I mean, more like, hyped.
Yeah, I just don't think it. I think it's going to be a 4K, 60 frames per second, quality of life improvements is what we're going to get.
Taylor.
So that's it.
Okay, well, you took BioShock from me. So I'm going to start with my first one, which is Earth Defense Force 6. I love the Earth Defense Force games. Some of the most fun I've had in gaming. I'm not good at them, but it's a lot of fun. Couch co-op, just sitting there with a friend, blasting big spiders and ants. I love it. The other game I will choose is, I guess, Chrono Cross Remaster.
A good one.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
Good look.
That's it. Yeah.
And then Alfredo, take us home.
Okay. I had a hard time picking. So my first one, I think, is going to be Final Fantasy IX Remake is on this list. Now, which is my favorite game of all time. They might do a remake of it, and this can mean a lot of different things. They could just do like an up-res, HD basic version. They could do just like a Final Fantasy VII remake type situation, which I don't think is going to be the case, but that would be, perfect world.
Well, it says remake. This is everything else has remaster beside it. It says remake.
It does, but I'm just a little on it.
That doesn't seem like it make financial sense for them to do that.
I mean,
it aged the best from a fan base standpoint. Hey,
let's calm down. That's very true, though.
Final Fantasy IX is a good game. It's a great game.
The best.
A remaster of that. I mean, a remake of that. I love the settings of Final Fantasy IX. It would be awesome. Like, it would. It's honestly so fantastical.
Yeah, it would be great if they did it the same way that they did Final Fantasy VII, and I could see that happening just because of how successful Final Fantasy VII Remake did do. But at the same time, we have to be realistic because they're making Final Fantasy VII Remake part 2, part 3, part 4, however long it's going to take. And does Square Enix have all these teams to be able to do the same thing for Final Fantasy IX? Probably not. So
I think Square Enix is one of the bigger publishers. I think
it is, but
I think.
But will they make it right?
The desire of it from a money standpoint is not there, because Final Fantasy VII is almost its own franchise in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like it's more its franchise than any other of the Final Fantasy games.
Very
so
true.
when you get into like remakes of the other ones, I'd have to think like which one can maybe hold its own.
Right.
And 9 is down the list. I
don't know. I think it's pretty high up there.
It's better than 10, but I think 10 would lend itself more just from a popularity standpoint.
No, hard disagree. Hard disagree for all the reasons I ranted for 20 minutes at the beginning of this episode.
I can see.
Do not remake that game.
I can definitely see them remaking Final Fantasy X.
Please, God, no.
Oh yes,
I could see them remaking 6 as a possible 6 or 4 possibly.
6 I feel it would be another one, because 6 would. Yeah. I feel like 6 would be the most difficult though, because 6 you're dealing with legit,
creating a new game.
Yeah, it's a 32-bit game. You're not remaking that. There's no scenes you're copying. You literally have to create these things.
Yeah, but the fan base is there for those games, so I could see it happening.
And supposedly, a lot of people say 6 is one of the best stories in Final Fantasy.
People consider 6 the best one. I feel 6 is the best one from a story standpoint.
Why don't they just remake 15?
Well,
that was a good one.
None of us
try again.
Yeah, try again. There you go.
Well, let's just stay away from 15. Let's stay away from 10. Let's just stay away from 13. But that one's no.
Let's forget 15 ever happened.
Yeah, 15, 10, and 13 never happened. But 9, let's remake it.
Official list.
Official, yeah. But yeah,
we need a whole podcast on this, because this is just like this is getting crazy.
We have to.
But I digress. I hope they do. I hope they do remake Final Fantasy IX. But my second one, obviously, they also had Kingdom Hearts 4 on this list, which I was hoping I would see a little bit of at E3, but Square Enix did not want to grant me that wish. So I have to wait till whenever this game comes out, which I'm thinking I'll probably see it in 2023. I want to say I would say early 2023. I'm getting Kingdom Hearts 4. I don't think it will be called Kingdom Hearts 4. It'll be like a side title name or something. But
do you know what I want?
Okay, so you're saying you're gonna get a Kingdom Hearts title.
Yes, and not one of the crappy, not really a game rhythm games like they did with the Nintendo Switch, like Memories game. Like not one of those, like an actual Kingdom Hearts game a la Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, like something like that, or Dream Drop Distance, like an actual Kingdom Hearts game.
What I'm hoping for in Kingdom Hearts 4 is a Phil of the Future level.
That was a great show, so bring it on.
That'd be absolutely amazing. Oh my god. And a Cheetah Girls level, Halloween.
Yeah, Cheetah Girls, High School Musical, give us it all.
Phineas and Ferb. They just go Disney Channel.
I actually do want Phineas and Ferb.
You need to email them that. That would why are they not tapping into those properties? Like that was
my Sweet Life on Deck level. You have Pirates of the Caribbean.
Which is a good level.
A Phineas and Ferb level,
that would be great.
A Jake Long American Dragon level. Like, what are? Why are we like? That's my problem with Kingdom Hearts.
They'll get there.
No, we're not.
They'll get there. Don't worry about it.
This is why I hate this franchise, because we're gonna get another Hercules level.
Because the Hercules levels are good. The Hercules levels are good. I like the treatment. Yeah. Because Hercules is Hercules. We need him.
Like they recycle. It's like they literally, it feels like they only have a certain amount of franchises they're even permitted to work.
I can tell you what, there's probably Kevin James, or not Kevin James. James Spacey isn't gonna be in the next one. Not James Spacey.
Kevin Spacey?
No, James Woods. James Woods.
Oh,
yeah. He's not gonna be in it. I can tell you that much.
Very well. But yeah, This franchise is so
Great.
frustrating.
Great.
So frustrating. It's like that. I saw a YouTube video. I'll never forget it. He said Kingdom Hearts is the definition of wasted potential, and I cannot describe it better than that because the potential for Kingdom Hearts is so high.
I think it's great, and we're getting it 2023. Mark my words, early 2023, and I'm excited.
It's going to be a great year.
I think it will.
That thing coming out on modern consoles is not.
I think it will be a Switch game.
So yeah. Well, okay, so we got a pretty good, varying amount of games. I think we did 7 out of 8 good games, and then we had one game that was Kingdom Hearts.
Was the greatest game. Well, okay, Final Fantasy IX Remake does beat it. Sorry, Kingdom Hearts, but
fair enough. So this is probably one of our longer pods. So I appreciate anybody listening, watching. You can find us on YouTube. Just go to Dukes of Gaming. Just type that in. We'll come right up. We're on all podcast services. And we are also streaming live on Twitch every single week. We have the Plague's Tale Innocence spoiler discussion coming out. And we also have the Deathloop review out right now. So watch those as well. If you have a question or you want to have a question read on air, just email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com. As always, we're going to be coming to you next week with some hot gaming takes. But until then, thank you for being a listener. And as always, I bid thee farewell.